going to give it straight to you right off the top. I have not seen the price of the POCO M6 Pro during my testing period. I do have an idea how much it's going to cost in the Philippines. My guess is under 14,000 pesos, which was around the price of the POCO M4 Pro when it launched. We did not get the M5 Pro for some reason, but we did get a couple of non-Pro M5 variants. But once the official price gets announced, I will include it in this video, probably somewhere on your screen right now or in the description box of this video. That said, as far as the competition of this phone goes, the Realme 11 is the closest alternative given their similarities in specs. I do expect POCO to undercut the Realme 11 in price, so that should be good, but with the M6 Pro, using it as a main phone, I'm generally surprised with the experience here. I know there's a lot of skepticism around the Helio G series chipset since it's old and has been rehashed several times over the past couple of years, and yes, I'm one of the skeptics, but after using the M6 Pro, I think I'm about to eat my words. This is a very good phone, especially in performance. Since we're on that topic anyway, let's start with that. The POCO M6 Pro is running on Helio G99 Ultra. Don't mind the Ultra because it doesn't make a huge difference compared to phones with the same chip. But what you need to know is that the chip offers two significant and noticeable differences over the predecessor Helio G96. MediaTek addresses the biggest problem of the G9 series, which is battery drain. And the solution to that is switching from a 12nm process node to a whopping 6nm. To keep it simple, this allows the M6 Pro to generate less heat and consume less battery while offering optimal performance. And by optimal, meaning the best possible performance, not the most powerful or fastest. I said that because the GPU performance of the M6 Pro takes a slight hit in terms of gaming performance. Well, at least that's what people on the internet are saying. Unfortunately, we don't have a device with Helio G96, but as far as I can remember, the gaming performance of the G99 is not significantly better or worse. You can expect similar performance when playing games, so don't expect the newest games on the Play Store with ultra-high textures and vast worlds to work properly, like Honkai Star Rail or Monster Hunter. But with older titles, you should be fine. I haven't been playing a lot of games lately, but the most intensive task I did here was having music playing in the background with my Wi-Fi and hotspot turned on a relatively cool 20 degrees Celsius outdoor weather. I even left a game running in the foreground and the phone got warm at best. On the flip end, the CPU performance of the M6 Pro is just outstanding. I liked how the Helio G series performed in the past when it came to general tasks. I almost always preferred it over the Snapdragon counterparts, but here, it's just better. Based on my testing, I've noticed three possible reasons why the M6 Pro performs smoothly and fluidly. The first one is RAM. This phone comes in two models, one with 8GB RAM and 256GB storage, and the other with 12GB RAM and a massive half terabyte of storage. I think this is one of the most affordable phones right now with half a terabyte, and what's great is that you can expand that further with a shared microSD slot that can support up to 1 terabyte. But I digress. With 12GB of RAM, I almost feel like it's overkill for a phone with this kind of budget mid-range performance. The second one is the 120Hz display. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first 120Hz display phone on POCO M series. So as expected, everything on the screen moves and renders faster than ever. But I think the third reason why this phone is smooth and fast is the software. Yes, this is running Android 13 that's still based on MIUI 14, but I'm seeing hints of HyperOS from the updated camera UI to the launcher's new search bar. Finally, you can set specific apps to run at either 120 or 60Hz. POCO lets you run this phone at 120Hz almost all the time regardless of the app you're using, whether that's Google Maps, Netflix, or YouTube. Even if this phone has yet to receive HyperOS, I'm confident that the software on the M6 Pro has already some of the perks of Xiaomi's new Android skin. When it comes to notifications, by default, there will be times they will arrive late, but if you just change the battery restriction in each app in the setting, you should be fine. It's a recurring pain for every Xiaomi phone, so hopefully this gets a better fix in the future. That said, I think the POCO M6 Pro's best thing is its performance and reliability when it comes to just being a phone for your regular day-to-day needs. As far as the build goes, The M6 Pro is still an all-plastic phone, but it's carrying an IP54 rating, making it dust and water splash resistant. While the design and look are not over the top, I do like the fact that it's clean and minimal. The dual texture on the back is different and new, although they are underneath the glossy plastic, so the feeling in the hand is the same or consistent. The camera humps got some added layer to make it seem new and bigger, but you're still getting a 64 megapixel main camera, but with OIS in tow, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel macro. Normally, the color of a phone is close to what's the color in the back here, but POCO went with a charcoal-like black finish, and I absolutely love this touch. Although it doesn't show much, the dark railing makes this phone unique among the sea of similar-looking slab devices. It reminds me a lot of the Asus Zenfone 9. It looks good to me, and I hope more devices go for this darker railing. Handling the device is a bit different since the display is more vertical than horizontal, meaning it's a tall device. It makes one-hand operation easier from the two sides, but a tall task when trying to reach the top portion of the screen. Even with the free protective case, the M6 Pro is still easy to use with one hand. By the way, this case is one of the best free cases POCO has included in the box. Instead of the typical jelly case, this gray rubber material is more likely to age well. It even provides decent protection for the cameras in the screen. But for the display itself, it's a 6.67 inches diagonal AMOLED, which I think is another first for the M series with AMOLED and 120Hz together. Much like the more expensive phones that are twice the price of the M6 Pro, it also boasts 1820Hz PWM viewing. This display is also protected with Gorilla Glass 5. Just like most AMOLED phones, the colors look punchy and accurate, and the viewing angles are wide. As far as the brightness level goes, although I don't have the exact number, the display is bright enough to make the screen readable outdoors on a sunny day. If you have the brightness set to automatic, you even get a slight boost in brightness when it detects too much incoming light from the ambient light sensor. As per usual with cheaper POCO devices, the package here is complete from the IR blaster to the headphone jack and a dual speaker setup that sounds loud enough and good enough. The POCO M6 Pro supports 67 watts fast charging and lets you top up the 5000 mAh cell in just 44 minutes. The battery life has been excellent for me. I easily average 6 to 7 hours of screen time, and that's mixed usage of streaming, background music playing, and playing an idle game called Slayer Legend for 3 to 4 hours straight. Depending on your use, I see this phone lasting a whole day or more. Now, the cameras. The main camera uses a 64 megapixel sensor, and as expected, from this price, you should have no problem when there's great lighting involved. Even indoor lighting is good enough to make the photos appear sharp and have plenty of color. Most of the shots will come out with more saturation than normal, but it's not over the top, so that's a good thing if you're into that bright and colorful look. The 8 megapixel ultra-wide looks okay though. It won't match the color tone of the main camera, but at least the sharpness and overall quality of ultra-wide shots are good enough when there's perfect lighting. You might also notice the main camera favoring greenish tint in its photos. I will say though that the limitation of this camera is processing high dynamic range. The camera prioritizes the brightest area of the frame, leaving the shadows with almost no detail to spare. As for that 2 megapixel macro camera, it's still useless at this point. You will get better quality by simply cropping into the image of the main camera. When it comes to videos, the main camera can only go up to 1080p at 60 frames. Although I wish there was a 1440p option, I must say that the lower resolution made the stabilization of this phone incredible even at 60 frames. Part of that is the less power needed to render 1080p, but most of the stabilization came from the presence of OIS. Another feature that's slowly trickling down to cheaper devices. The overall quality is not that bad, it's more than usable. But again, there's limited dynamic range, so you need to pick your shots for the best quality. The same applies to the 16 megapixel selfie camera. The overall quality is okay and all, except when you try to push the dynamic range to its limit. Try a selfie against a bright background and you're going to end up like a Photoshop cutout. Otherwise, these cameras should be enough for most buyers out there, even when the output is on the brighter or overexposed side. That said, I think the POCO M6 Pro is offering a very good phone experience beyond what the spec sheet shows. I know that it sucks to see a rehashed spec every release, but We're at a point where smartphones have reached their iterative phase. There are a lot of ways to capture or at least maintain your market as a manufacturer. In this case, I think POCO went with trying to optimize the experience as much as possible despite having older hardware. That's not a bad thing when you're getting a slightly better experience while keeping the price affordable. But that's it for this one. Leave a sub or like if you feel like supporting the channel, and as always, until the next one, stay safe.